Get your hair right. Get your hair
I
right.
know. Look at this. What's this, guys?
It's the same crap I got going on. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Hey guys, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. That was a great start. That was a great start. We are recapping the finale of Survivor. Not recapping the finale, but looking back on the season with Elaine and Joleen.
Yes, we have guests. It's so exciting. But first, you guys, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And if you want to support us on Patreon, there's a link in the description.
That was the best start ever.
I forgot that you were going live. When me and Elaine get together on these lives, I feel like we're just
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Oh my God. But we're
My face
here.
already hurts.
Yes, thank you for joining us. How are you guys? Are you gals?
Good. Doing good.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Jolene, are you still where you were the last time we spoke?
Yep, I'm still in Palm Springs, Palm Desert area. So
Good.
it's nice. I mean, got a little room to breathe out here, and
Yeah.
you know, it's a lot of dogs walking back there behind me. If you might see some dogs.
Yay, dogs.
Very nice.
People. I like seeing dogs.
I love dogs.
Right?
Love them.
They're the best. And yeah, a lot of people go in. There's a pool over there, guys. So
Is it like very
it's
nice.
like a community pool.
Oh,
my mother-in-law did well for herself in life, so now I am reaping the benefits of staying at
I
her
love
house.
that. I
Hey,
love that.
I got a pool. We call it a pond, though. Yeah.
Elaine, I'm still gonna come to your house and I'm gonna go camping on your land. Remember? And we'll go swim in the pond. And
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I got tents and everything. You're more than welcome.
yes, I'll bring the whole family.
Listen, I got 100 acres. We could space them out so you don't go crazy.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Social distancing and everything.
Yeah. Good
See,
grief.
I was quarantine prepared.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's what I've learned in the quarantine and with all this is like I want like living in Los Angeles, you're on top of people. Like ultimately my goal is to have space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to not be crammed in Los Angeles because
I really I couldn't handle having neighbors after living out in the country for so long. I really couldn't handle having neighbors at all. Like I don't know what I would do if I was you guys.
Oh, I bet it's awful.
I usually love it until now. You're like, get away from me.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, the last time we were all together, we were doing a draft. Remember how fun that was?
I do remember.
Jolene, you did so well.
Thank
you. Did
you.
so well.
You, Jolene, I hate to break it to you.
What?
But Jolene came in with 32 points.
That's awesome.
That's
Great.
really good.
It was really good.
32
Very
is my
good.
number. That's my
32.
Number, 32. That's my number.
That's great.
Mhm.
I just so close to you. I came in with 39 points.
Oh, that's my
Okay.
season. That's my season.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
There you
Elaine's got
go.
ties to all of it.
Numbers.
Got my ball number, my season. All right, David, what do you got?
David came in with 72 points.
72.
Oh.
Any connection there,
Oh,
Elaine?
yeah. Got
My
anything?
my granny was 72. I don't know. Like
Okay.
That counts. That counts.
That's
Okay,
something,
we'll
that's
take it.
something. Yeah.
okay.
And then our busted can of biscuits came in with 82
Oh my
points.
God.
It was close. It was
So close between two
Yep.
people.
Me and
And then
Elaine.
close between the
Weird.
other two people.
Yeah. Right.
Jolene
Dude,
and I were on our own race.
You know, they're on the amazing race. Amazing.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like this is the Brady Bunch thing right now where like
It
David's
is.
above me, Jolene's
Right.
over
Yeah.
Jolene's over there.
That
Oh,
way.
we can do the
and-
Brady dance. Oh.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Somebody should have played that in the background when we started this thing up. That would have
Here's
been
the
amazing.
story
Yeah.
Of a
of
lovely
the Survivor draft.
Oh, you better be careful. We didn't license that song.
No, we did not.
Oh,
We did not.
well.
So congratulations, Elaine. You obviously knew how to pick a team. I mean, no one could have predicted the run that Tony was going to have. He got
Oh.
like 15 points, was it, in the last episode?
Yes.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
I think you asked for fried chicken, so we got to figure out how to get you fried
Yes.
chicken.
Oh my God.
Yes, this is true. I forgot about that. That's my favorite meal. I love fried chicken.
Oh my God.
That's about as good as winning money.
How many people does the pond hold?
Oh, it's a
Tammy
big
would
pond.
like to know how many people the pond holds.
It's a big pond. Like you can't the back pond you can't cast your pole across it. That's how big it is. The front pond you can almost cast across it, and the middle pond same way.
Well, how many ponds are there, Elaine?
There's a middle pond.
Yeah. I got 3 ponds. I got 3.
Oh, multiple ponds.
Oh my God.
My grandpa bought this farm in 1980, and it was an old strip mine. And whenever they used to strip mine, they have to have runoff ponds. And so there was runoff ponds because they were stripping the coal and stuff. And then here, however many years later, I just mow them down and fish out of them. So now they just fishing ponds. But
okay,
it's like fate that I go to your farm because I was born in 1980, Elaine. So it's like,
oh my
wow,
yes,
the connections.
And the 80s.
We're just making up connections left and right.
Yes.
I'm gonna live on the farm. And swim in the pond.
Hey, listen, the oldest youngin, he's gonna be 20 this year, and he always talks about buying one of those small sheds.
Yes.
And just putting a toilet in it and throwing the AC in the window and putting it on top of the hill.
It's called a tiny house.
A tiny home, yes.
There you go.
Yeah, we're going to buy you one of them and put on top of the mountain up here.
Finally, I'll have my own property. Well, kind of. I'll be a renter on your property. Okay, whatever. It'll work.
Yeah.
You guys, David and I talked about our final thoughts on the season, but we haven't quite, obviously you guys are just joining us. So Elaine, tell us your thoughts on how the season ended and how you felt about the whole season.
I thought the season overall was great. I really think that the caliber, however you say that word, of play was it was amazing. Like everybody was on their game. They were really going for it. And honestly, I think Tony deserved the win. Like really, he like halfway through the season, everybody was calling it like that he was going to take it if people didn't get him out. And the man went the entire game without getting voted for one time until the finale. Crazy. And I really think he deserved it. But Natalie, David's girl, battled back on the edge of extinction and came really close to getting the W. So it was good. I'm with Rob where I think if she had given up immunity at Final Travel like Chris Underwood done, had given it up and beat Sarah or Tony at Fire, she would have crushed it. I think she would have won it. And but it is what it is. She made the decision she made, and either one of them winning, I would have been cool with. Even if Michelle won, I think I would have been cool with because I think everybody earned their spot to be in that final 3.
Yeah. Totally. If you were on the jury with that final 3, would you have voted for Tony over Sarah and Michelle?
Oh, Natalie over Natalie.
I'm sorry, Natalie and Michelle. Yeah.
I probably would have voted for Tony, but I think if Sarah had sat in the final, I think I probably would have voted for Sarah. I just think that, Tony gets, and it's exactly what Sarah says, girls can go out and play a certain way and guys can go out and play a certain way. And even though they may be exactly the same, for some reason, people view women lesser than men in the Survivor world, so I think that if she makes it to the end, she gets my vote in that case. So
how do you feel, Joleen?
It was so good. I love the story of Natalie coming back. I was hoping, I wish I would have picked Natalie now. That was one of my biggest regrets is just, I would have loved to just be, I was cheering for her regardless, even though she was with you, David, which is fine. I'm over it. It was such a good edge story. Like it was just how Natalie was able to persevere and her head was always in the game. And I have a couple thoughts too about Natalie and why she didn't get the votes that I think I thought it was gonna be closer between her and Tony. And I think there was a lot of, on the jury, you have like Robs and Yules and stuff. You have a lot of Survivor purists and the edge being a new concept. I don't think they would ever vote for someone like that. And I also thought it might have kind of tied into what Sarah was saying, the way Rob was saying that Natalie should have done jury management while she's on the edge trying to prepare to get back into a big competition. Why does she have to be well-tempered? Do you know what I mean? Why does a woman who's fighting for her life in the game, but you weren't that open and kind to us, why does she have to be. So a little bit of that too, but I do think Tony deserved the win. I thought he played an impeccable game. I think the fact that his name was never written down is the reason that, like Elaine said, he got most of the votes. I wouldn't have voted for Sarah. I have a different view than Elaine, and Elaine obviously knows a lot more than
close.
I know we're so
she was the telepathy. Like, what happened?
She was just too lost. Like, Tony always was plugged in. He always knew, and she didn't trust his instincts. And I think we saw that a lot where Sarah was like, I have to rein him in, when really Tony was speaking truth and trying to protect both of their games. And I also have another very big opinion. I think Ben should have never been on this season. Thank you.
Oh no.
She dropped the
Now,
ball.
okay, I want to clarify. Is that because you don't think he should have won his original season, or you don't think they should have cast him for this season?
Honestly, I've never seen his original season because you guys know my journey with Survivor. I haven't seen every single season, and I didn't see Ben's season. That's one of the seasons I haven't seen. So I didn't come in with any kind of preconceived thing on him. I was actually like, oh, okay. Well, hopefully, I felt bad for like the Michelles and the Sophies and the Bens who felt like they were like second tier winners or something. But with Ben, I just felt like he was playing very emotional. Apparently, I don't know. Rumor has it he was mad at Jeremy over fantasy football. Is that a true thing? I'm not sure. But why? And I feel like he was just playing. He wasn't even playing. He didn't even know what was happening. And then when everything was on the line and tons of people would have given everything to be in his position, he's like, you know what? You can vote me out. I'm just going to go back and have some drinks. I mean, can you imagine how pissed his family must be? Like, to say you'd rather have friends than 2 million. Come on, Elaine.
No. I'm friends with Ben, and I think I can empathize with him a little bit.
Yeah.
But two, I think where he was coming from, I think he thought basically, okay, these people are going to vote me out anyway. And not that he was throwing in the towel. Him and Sarah are super close, and he was allowing her permission where she wasn't in a conundrum on what to do, and so like distraught about actually making the decision to vote him out. So to me, it's not really giving in or throwing in the towel. It's maybe a little bit accepting your fate and trying to give your friend a leg up.
Yeah.
Which I
have very strong feelings about that move. I think that was one of the most beautiful moves I've seen in Survivor history. Because
me too.
Ben didn't at all quit the game. He knew, he was able to see ahead that the jury wasn't really a fan of his, that if he sat next to Sarah and Tony, that he wasn't going to get the votes. He's already sat at a final and knows that you're going to get grilled. And he said, you know what? I would rather you make a move and put this on your resume, because Sarah needed to make a move outside of Tony. And this allowed her to write somebody's name down that Tony was surprised about. And the jury got to see Tony be completely blindsided at that tribal. And so Ben, knowing that he didn't have a chance to win, allowed Sarah to take that.
I totally agree with you too. Like, I think that I understand why he did it, but to get to that point where he didn't think anyone would vote for him and he couldn't win, you had to play a pretty trash game. And I feel like he did. And so I'm holding him responsible for his own game and then throwing in the towel and trying to kind of save face for the garbage game he played. I think
if you had seen his OG season, you would talk differently. I think because
like a nice person. Let me clarify.
Yeah, we know the struggles he's been through. We know about his PTSD. We know about his mental health issues. And so to see him like try to change his game this season, to see him fangirling over other players, and to see him know that he wasn't going to win and say, hey, I'm proud of myself for making it to this far. I want to like applaud him and like give him hugs
you guys, it's a superstar winner season, so it's hard for me to have empathy when it's like this needs to be jam-packed with people who are here to fight. Do you think Amber liked waking up every day to make people's rice? No, she didn't, but she did it with a smile, and she did it for her family.
Yes, I do think she actually loves that.
No, Sarah, you're crazy.
quit. And I just feel like for a jam-packed cast like this, I felt like he was so lackluster throughout and he wasn't all the way dialed in. That's just my opinion. I'm sure.
Get in there, David. Right. Get in there.
I think that I tend to agree more with Joleen. I'm not quite as harsh, I think, as Joleen here.
I'm harsh.
You're harsh. You have strong words for Ben. I don't think he played a trash game the whole time, but I don't think he played at the same level as a lot of these other people. And I do just kind of agree. Like, I want to see everybody in this season playing to win it. And I don't want to see like you were saying with these people who like went to extinction early on, like how would they feel if they knew that like Ben had a hand in voting them out and then he just kind of rolled over for Sarah to write his name down. So, you know, I also agree with Sarah and Elaine. It was a beautiful moment. And like, I felt the emotion of it, but I lean more towards like, I don't like that move because I want to, even if you think you can't win, I want to see you fight to try.
Well, here's the thing that I can speak from personal experience. When you go on the island, you have a mindset of how you're going to do, what you're going to do, how you're going to do this, that, and the other. And when you step on the island, everything you thought you knew goes out the window and you literally have to think on your feet. And okay, for me, for example, when I went out there, my intentions was win the money, but I had so much going on mentally and emotionally going into it that it took me on a different journey and took me, what's it say? And he was amazing.
I'm only going to put up the comments that are on my side.
I shouldn't have said trash game.
Right.
I still stand by it was a trash game, but I shouldn't have said it because it upsets people. But it's just, in my opinion, it wasn't a good game. But what do I know? I've never listened to Elaine. Finish Elaine.
So,
you know it.
So anyway, when I went out there, it took me on a different journey than what I thought in my mind was going to happen. Now, I can't speak personally for each person that was on the island. However, what we do have in common is we know what it takes when you're in the game. We know the mental toll it takes on you, the strain it takes on your body, and how it can just mess you up. We know it. So I think that Ben went out there with a certain game plan, and when he got on the island, he found something else. And his journey took him to a different spot other than to the end, sitting in those seats. Now, you can't see it when you're watching the show or viewing it from home, but those of us that have been on the island know exactly what it is he did, went through, whatever. We get it. You know what I mean? And everybody approaches things different. You got 20 people from all walks of life, and not everybody has the same mentality. You got Boston Rob, who would break his leg and like still pack his woman on his shoulder to cross the line. And then you have some people that just go and they're content and happy with the spot that they're in. Now, that to me, that tells me that we shouldn't like get down on people for however it is, because you don't know what their mindset was or what his journey was in the moment as far as Ben's concerned. You can say that he made some blunders and done this, that, and the other that put him in the situation to where he was like, all right, I've shot myself in the foot. I hope my friend can win. You know what I mean? It's just, and the way people perceive things, like everything's different. Jolene's cold-hearted. You know, David's kind of semi-cold. Me and Sarah are like big, warm teddy bears. And, you know, we feel for people where you guys would run them over with the bus.
Or a Honda Civic, Elaine.
Remind us not to play Survivor with these two. These two
also think
cut us.
It's just such an interesting departure from Ben's original season 2 for me, because he is known as someone who went out and found a hidden immunity idol every other night at the end of the game because he was continually a target. And that's the kind of fighting to win that I kind of expected from him. Like, I'm one of those people who thinks that Ben maybe didn't deserve to win his original season. I was rooting for Chrissy to win that season. And I know that I'm not the only one. But, you know, Ben had this like stick-to-itiveness where he refused to roll over and get eliminated from that season. And that's what got him the win. And so this was just kind of like a surprising move from him specifically.
It kind of felt, and maybe Elaine can answer this, it felt like Ben always felt, and I'm just like seeing from what I saw, like he felt like he didn't belong in the Survivor's winner circle, and now he made some actual friends. So now he was like the kind of kid that was left out who's now being included. So he was willing to give that up just to be accepted within the Survivor community. That's kind of how it came off.
Well, I think when he won his first season, he had to have a certain mindset, and maybe he hurt some people the first time around. So maybe his goal was a little different when he came out this time.
Yeah, maybe it was like reputation rehab or something.
Yeah, So that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't know. And the very first tribal I went to and the last one I was in, like, I basically said the same thing. It's like, you don't know the journey it takes for each one of us to get here. You don't know what kind of emotional baggage every single person carries with them. And some people carry a lot more luggage than others. It's called life. And while you carry all that into the game with you, it's hard just to open it up, throw it in the ocean and let it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think when he came out this time around, his perspective had changed a little bit. No, he wanted to win like everybody else, but I think his journey he was choosing to walk down was totally different than the one he walked down the first time he played.
And I feel like that was kind of a theme for this whole season is we got to see so much more humanity. We got to see these players as actual humans. Apparently winning this show is actually very difficult on you. You go through stuff. You get like bashed for lying, or you get bashed for looking like a biatch, or, you know, like the internet takes you down and hates on you. Like it apparently takes you on quite a journey, because we saw a lot of these people talking about what they went through and how they wanted to look at people as humans instead of just as numbers. And so I know that's a departure for us who watch these games all the time and are like, no, just win. It was kind of a nice layer added to this season.
Yeah. Well, that goes for everybody that's ever played the game. And like I said, it's all in the mindset. And some people, when they come out of the game, whether they've won or not, some people that come out of the game, they have a super hard time. And the acclimating back into life is difficult. Just getting back into you is difficult. And so I feel for him, because I know, you know what I mean? I went and I came back and I know what it's like. So it's like, and then the hate that you get, you know, like I happen to be a super lucky person because I was liked by a lot of people. But at the same time, I got some hate too. You know, people called me fat, would tell me put my shirt on, talk about my dead mom. It's like, man, why you go there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so to have people like constantly just sending you stuff when you are just trying to play a game, but they're sending you stuff telling you how terrible of a human being you are and just bashing you, it can weigh on you mentally. And a lot of players that was on this season, you know, they were attesting to all that. So it's like, I'm glad it was brought to the forefront. So maybe people can give a little more love than they typically do for the players that go out there and everything they sacrifice to be on the island.
Yeah.
Wow, Elaine, you are softening me and David's cold heart.
I feel like you're like the Grinch. It's growing. It's growing.
Yep, it is. I am very much Grinchy.
Well, talk about, you guys brought up Natalie a little bit, and obviously her battle back was so impressive. I mean, her whole journey on Edge of Extinction was impressive. Is there any way that she could have won? Is there anything she could have done to just get a few more votes?
I think that it comes down to what Rob was saying. Like if she had given up, and I said in our last video that I kind of think it's like not fair that is like the expectation now. Like Chris Underwood kind of set that precedent.
Yeah.
And like that now what has to happen every time because is it not enough for her to have won that final immunity and beat Tony in that way? Like now she's got to give it up and beat him all over again. But
battled in. She got an immunity idol. Yeah. And now she has to do fire.
She just has so much ground to make up for, you know, missing 30 days of the game or however many it was, that I think if she had done that, it could have been a lot closer.
I felt like it would be closer once Wendell I think it was Wendell that gave her the question, like, can you tell us everything you did on the Edge? And when she listed her Edge resume, I was like, I even forgot. Like, it was amazing. I mean, this woman is, I started following her on Instagram, just like I follow Elaine. Like I follow all my favorites, but I'm not one of those people who goes and says mean stuff to people. I just give my opinion on podcasts and stuff. But anyways, and not personal, except for Big Brother players occasionally. Anyways, so I thought she is like a superwoman, and I get goosebumps thinking about like young girls that get to watch her journey and get to watch how strong and brave and how being the first person sent there, and just how demoralized you must feel coming back as a winner season, and then staying so focused in the game and winning so much and fighting and then actually getting to your goal. You know, I mean, not ultimately winning, but she won in so many respects. So sorry, I get lost talking about Natalie. She's like my hero. I love her.
She's amazing.
Yeah, that's why David had her. And then, you know, he almost won. He almost won it.
Almost. So
He
close.
did.
But I was watching, I think it was a clip from when she like got eliminated on day 3 or whatever. And there was just like a close up. I think it was on her Instagram maybe. And it was like a close up on her face as like the votes were starting to come in. Yeah, she like put her hair up. It was like she was like ready to go to battle, even though she was like heading to Extinction Island. And I just started to think about like, what must have been going through her mind, kind of like what you were saying, Jolene, like you come back for this winter season and then you're the first boot, like how embarrassing. And for her to then turn that around and end up in the final 3 is insane. Like, I just think that she had such an amazing journey. And
who knew I needed that Michelle and Natalie duo. If I had that for longer, I could live on that. That energy was everything. Like I was living for those two together. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was really great. It was interesting reading her sort of like exit interview after the finale was over and she didn't win. She said that she was surprised that she didn't get more votes. There were a few votes that surprised her. She thought she'd get more. But she also said, look, what Rob brought up about her not being social on edge, like whatever. She's like, I can't apologize for that. I'm being me. And the most important thing was for me to focus on returning. She's like, but the thing that I can't let go is not making fire. So now like, that's the thing that's festering in her head that she thinks, should I have? She said when Sarah and Tony finished fire, Tony won, and they like hugged forever. And like, it was so, she's like, I was rolling my eyes because I thought it was so overly dramatic for the votes. She was like, they were giving each, Tony the votes and making it a bigger thing. And she was like, that's when I knew I should have done it so that they didn't have that moment.
Yeah. Well, Rob's right though. That's called jury management. Everything you do in tribal council and you're sitting in front of the jury, they're critiquing everything. So, when you pay homage to them, like, yo, I've done this or I've done that, you can talk. When you do things like that or like put stuff on blast so everybody can see, it makes them think of you in their mind. Whereas, some tribals, if you just sit back and keep your mouth shut, it hurts you in the end game. So I think that Tony, I don't know how true it was, but I think he might have hammed it up a little bit with the goodbye to Sarah. I'm sure he was emotional, but to me, I just think, Tony I think he was playing to the jury a lot too. Yeah. So, I mean,
I feel like even his final tribal council, he was just still playing to the jury.
Oh yeah.
And that's what you got to do to win, right? Is you got to give the jury what they're looking for. And, in my season, like Nora, she caught a lot of crap in the final tribal. And the thing is that she couldn't compose herself and express her game or her version of how she played to the jury. And that's, for me, that's what I wanted from her. And because she couldn't articulate that in the moment, which, listen, setting through tribal and getting those questions beaming at you and stuff, that puts you in a tough spot. So you got to be ready to go. And she kind of crumbled under the pressure of that. And so, I think if the smart people that go to the end, they really hone those final tribal skills. And Tony just played it like, dude, he played it so well in the end. Because he really
was like a type 5 he was doing.
I know, they kept,
he was like,
and it was like Michelle, I feel like her plea to the jury was really lacking in that way. I think she maybe could have snagged a couple votes, but she used words like, she was like, I think I'm pretty proud of myself. I did pretty, like, it wasn't convincing enough where I think Michelle could have had a case, to just be like, I was always on the bottom. I had to fight. No one was helping. There was not a team behind me. I had to get that immunity when I needed. I had to find those idols. I had to work with whoever came in the game, pivot constantly. Like she really could have. But it almost was like she didn't quite believe it herself. So the jury's not going to believe it.
Yeah, you do kind of have to like speak with a certain amount of confidence, whether or not it's like necessarily 100% true. Just like say it like it is,
We needed that Jersey girl to come out. Like when she was reading Nick, when she was like, Nick. And like,
how you get to the end, Nick?
Yeah.
What?
Oh gosh. Yeah. Elaine, you got to talk to your friend Nick about that stuff.
Dude, I did. And it is what it is. I mean, you can sit and think about after the season's over, is like, oh my God, if I had only done this, or if I had only done that. Every single person that has walked on my island, they do that over and over. And if okay, like Natalie, she's like, yo, that just keeps playing in my head. That final fire thing. It's like, so some things you can drive yourself nuts about, but I think that if Michelle would have had a little more fire in her belly, like you was saying, she might have caught some votes. I think people were just maybe overlooking her because Tony was such a big bright star, you know what I mean? And Natalie was such a beast on edge, and so she really needed to throw some extra salt in it and extra spice on top of it, just to, you know what I mean?
Now, in Michelle's interview, she mentioned, and now you never know if this is 100% true because she's saying, people told me this, but some of the jury told her that they wanted to vote for her. They were gonna vote for her, but they had to throw their vote to Tony because they were hearing people were voting for Natalie. So the people who feel very strongly about no one from Edge should win, we need, Tony to win. They were making sure that Tony had enough votes to win. So I don't know if that's true.
That's so unfair because given the rules of the game now, the Edge is in play. So how they can, it's almost like they're acting as though she left and then got some special treatment to get back in. No, she played by the new parameters of the game, did what she needed to do, which most couldn't do. She was the only one who could. And yet I feel like she's being punished for that. So that's the unfortunate thing that happens with a game that implements these new tactics and stuff.
Yeah, the one thing I can say about the reason why I personally don't like Edge is Cass had said something about this in a tweet, and I thought, man, that's spot on. When you're in the game and you have to worry about what people are saying about you, what they're doing behind your back, like going to tribal council, saving your own hind end, when you have to worry about that 24/7, that takes a toll, and it's something that you don't have to do when you're on the edge. The only thing you're worried about is, one, completing those tasks so you can get whatever reward or tokens or whatever, and two, winning the battle back. That's the only two things you got to worry about, and not dying, that's but
that's kind of big.
Yeah. So when you're in the game, like, you literally have to be on your toes. You have to be on your A game every single challenge, every tribal council. And I'm telling you, the mental drain that takes on you is huge. So I think from the people that have played the game, the majority, that whenever you compare that to somebody sitting on the edge and just waiting for it's totally different, and it's not an equal playing field. Don't get me wrong, that shit they went through on Edge of Extinction, that was tough. It's harder than all get out, but she's a CrossFit beast. So you got somebody like that compared to, like, if little old busted can of biscuits was out there, I couldn't have went up that damn hill. Are you crazy? I'd have starved to death. You know what I'm saying? Like she had a leg up. So it's like, for those of us that played, I think that the mental toll that it takes for you to stay in the game and move, bob and weave to keep alive and stuff, like, that's what the underlying true meaning of Survivor is. And when you go to the edge, that's just not there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I will say that, based on Rob's comments in the final tribal, I think that there is a certain element of the social game that's still in play when you're on Extinction, because he was like, why did you ice us out?
Well, that's
true. I do think that that's something that Natalie didn't really consider. Like, I think she was so focused on just getting as many fire tokens and getting those advantages and getting the idol and winning her way back in the game, that maybe she lost a little bit of sight of, like, okay, I need these people to still like me and want to vote for me, if I'm sitting in the final tribal.
No, that's true. You have to manage the jury when you're on the edge, and Chris done it beautifully on the first Edge of Extinction. He done a great job of doing that. And you're right. I think Rob, we don't know what went down, but Rob said it best. He's like, yo, you should have catered to us and you didn't, and that's your downfall. And it's the same thing, like, if you look back to, like, a Russell Hantz, he's like, oh, Survivor is flawed. It's like, no, sir, Survivor isn't flawed. You're giving these people, this is your guidelines, and get to the end and win. And the way you do that is, with Russell, his game was so aggressive, people just didn't like the dude. And yes, he played an amazing game, but at the same time, part of the game is making sure that you vote these SOBs out, but they still vote for you. And he can never get that part of the game right. He's got everything else on point. It's just that one little piece keeps him from winning $1 million. So it's like,
even Rob was like, whoa, how'd you do that, Tony? Because like, even though Rob has won the game, they have always been coming after him. Like he's never done it with people being like, well, I love you, like Tony did. So he was like, how do you do this? Yeah, I mean, super, super hard to do.
Well, and from the edit that we saw, it appeared as though, that's why I was surprised as a viewer to hear Rob say that she wasn't having, you know, that she was a little antisocial towards the end when she was preparing, or maybe throughout, I'm not sure from his question. But from the edit we got, it looked like she was building relationships with Tyson, with the immunity idol, her in poverty finding stuff. I think, was it her in poverty? You know, and it looked like she was doing a good job. Her and Amber seemed to have a good relationship. So that's what we saw as a viewer. So then to hear what was perceived by the actual players was very different.
Well, you know, making friendships with 2 or 3 people is great, but that's not what you should do. I made that mistake in my season. Is like I was friends with a couple people, and then I kind of just shut other people out, and that was a big downfall of my game, is because I didn't open it up to other people. And so when she's on edge, maybe she is kicking it with Tyson in poverty and they're super tight and cool, but that's only 2 people. Or like you said, Amber, that's only 3 people. Look how many damn jury members there are. So you need to cater to all of them and not just partial.
She said in her interview, she was like, these people were so like done. They came out of the game, and those last few days of being on edge of extinction, she was like, they were defeated. They were miserable. She was like, they were bringing my energy down. And she's like, I didn't want to be around them. But she did say, she was like, I bonded with Danny. I bonded with Sophie. She's like, we had some great conversations, and those were some of the votes she was surprised didn't go her way. She was like, but those other people were just miserable, and I wanted to stay positive, which I can totally imagine, even though I agree we need to like manage jury here. But like, I'd be like, y'all are miserable. I don't want to be around you. Those last few days. Whoa. Okay, let's talk about Sarah a little. I mean, we've touched on Sarah, but I thought this was interesting in her exit interview. She said that when Natalie won that last immunity, Natalie was going to put Michelle on fire against Tony, and that Michelle like had a breakdown, was crying, freaking out. And Sarah felt like if Tony beat Michelle and was sitting next to Sarah and Natalie, that Sarah and Tony split votes, Natalie wins. And so Sarah, for her game, she played Natalie and convinced her to switch it up and put her on fire. She said, Michelle's not in the right headspace. I can beat Tony. I will take, I will get him out of the game. And so Sarah wants to take credit for that.
Well, I think that interesting. I think that I think that Michelle pulled a Tommy Sheehan. Tom, like, yo, I can't do it. I'm so torn. You know what I mean? Like, that's good on her. Smart on her. I would have thrown that out at Final Tribal. I'd be like, yo, I convinced this chick not to put me in fire. Dude, I would have thrown everything but the kitchen sink at them people. You know what I mean? I would have used it. And that's the thing that about Michelle's game is in the end, it's like she couldn't close it out. She couldn't claim those moments, because I think that I don't think necessarily that she was falling apart because she was going to do fire. I think she was like playing it, you know what I mean? Playing it so she didn't have to make fire. And I do believe that Sarah probably talked is like, yo, because listen, Sarah's a beast in herself, you know what I mean? And she's like, yo, I'll smoke Tony. So she's like, give it to me, pass me the ball, I'll take him out. You know what I mean? And so like she went for it. And if she could have done that and got rid of him hands down, I think that would have like got her even more votes. You know what I mean? And I think she was going for it. So good on her.
When she almost had that fire, I got emotional. I was like, oh my God.
I was rooting so hard.
Sarah's going to beat Tony. It's going to be fine. I was like this. I
can't
win too much.
Yeah, I was blowing her fire for her. I was like, I was like all over it. But I wanted her to beat him. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like that would have been awesome if she could have had that moment. But you win some, you lose some, and it's like, it just wasn't meant to be like that. And I'm a firm believer, and things go down how God wants them to. So it just wasn't meant to be for her to win this game. She did the first time around. I still think she's one of the top players. It just wasn't meant for her to. It was meant for Tony to win. You know what I mean? Like it just was.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. You guys, let's do a little bit of some superlatives. Let's throw out our faves.
What's a superlative? What is
it means like you're the best at something.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me the best when I set you up with a category.
Let's play the best game. Like, okay, we'll go superlative. Let's go.
I'm so sorry, Elaine. I'm so sorry. The best move of the game. What is your best move of the game?
The spy nest.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh.
Best move of the game. I said, dude, if I ever get back on the island again, unless they stop me, the only next step is to get in the well. You gonna have little biscuit like this in the well, I swear. I won't be in the well, boy, listening, like hanging out. I'm serious. I think the spy nest killed it. Like, he got up there, he heard all kinds of information. Like, dude, that was like the best move was him climbing in that tree. It was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I would obviously you have to like the Queen Slayer moment is huge because you never expected it from Denise. You never expected it from a player like that. And I think that set her apart and made her a legend no matter how far she got in the game. And she got very far. And to take Sandra out is huge. And the way she played I mean, that was the biggest. But I have to agree with Elaine, like Tony's spy nest. And when he had to be up there for like 30 minutes or an hour.
Almost died.
Yeah. I don't know how he doesn't fall out of those trees.
I know.
Dude, he was shaking. He came down. He was like this. He was shaking. He's like, I've been up there for an hour. Almost done. It was great.
I think my favorite move, well, not my favorite necessarily, but I think the best move was Tony blindsiding Sophie, because I think that kind of solidified his alliance with Sarah as like each other's ride or die, because I think Tony was at risk of losing Sarah to Sophie. And then that just kind of kicked off a run of eliminations that Tony just totally controlled.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah. And in the moment, I was like, no, you can work with both of them. But looking back, like, that's why Tony's a Survivor two-time winner. And I'm a girl who sits at home and talks about it in my mother-in-law's retirement home. So, you know.
Yeah. As much as I love the Queen Slayer moment from Denise, I mean, it was flashy. It was gorgeous. Like, I love that move. I do think that Tony taking out Sophie was sort of a game-defining move for him, at least. Like, that really got him in line to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. So favorite blind side. Give me your best blind side.
Oh God, I have to remember everyone that was.
I know.
Blind side actually,
Sandra might be my favorite blind side.
Yeah, that was the best blind side. Yeah. It was totally unexpected.
Because it was so pure too. Yeah. Like it just was, she didn't see it coming. And it was that single vote that got her out, you know, like there were many other blind sides that, I don't know, it's just, we kind of all saw them coming a little bit, of course, as viewers. And I think that there was a certain element of surprise on for the viewers as well, that Sandra got blindsided.
Yeah, and like Rob's blindside wasn't a blindside to us as viewers, but to him. I think he thought the tactic of like, nobody talks to anybody, nobody moves.
It's the buddy system.
Yeah. And these kids were like, we are going to be, you know, moving.
The Rob one was good because he was literally sitting there at Tribal being like, it's a numbers game. Sorry, guys, y'all don't have the numbers. Bye. And then he was like, oh, bye. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite player's game? Like, who played the game that you guys liked the most?
Oh, I really enjoyed Sophie's game. I wasn't super familiar with Sophie before this. And I really like how my one regret for her is I wish her and Yul could have played longer together, because they're both such like easy spirits. Like they're both very like level-headed, it seems like, and smart. And I would have liked to see them be able to work as a duo in the game longer. But I did really enjoy watching Sophie play and was genuinely sad to see her go, because I really wanted her to get to the final.
Yeah, and she just was, I think I would pick her too, because she also was someone who was like surging the whole way until all of a sudden she was blindsided and gone. It wasn't like she kind of peaked and then was like on the wrong side of the numbers for a handful of votes. And then eventually like, yeah, we saw this coming. It's, you know, Sophie's turn to go out. Like it was just like she was doing really well. You know, she was in on the conversations, had the information, was kind of directing a lot of votes for a while, and then just was like smashed to the ground. So yeah, I really enjoyed her game too.
Yeah, I enjoyed Tony's game. Like me personally, like I'm not so much a Tony player, but you know, he's my spirit animal. So it's like, yo, I want to play like Tony does. I want to climb trees and do crazy stuff. I want to do that. And also have that kind of heart that it takes to cut people that maybe not necessarily you want to cut, but you got to get the job done. And little old Biscuit ain't got that side in her right now, but I'm hoping that if I ever go back out there, I can channel Tony and play kind of like Tony. So for me, it's Tony's game. I think he played awesome.
We got to start like a, what do we call it? Not like a move on, but some kind of online campaign to get Elaine back. Not that they won't have her because obviously you were a fan favorite and awesome at the game. But we need to make sure Jeff knows that it needs to happen sooner than later.
Well, they've been playing me on the CBS commercial a lot. I don't know if you guys have been checking that out or not.
Yeah.
I seen it on there the other day, and when it came on, I looked at my woman. I was like, "Do you see that?" Like, they got me hugging Jeff, and then they showed me kissing him too. It was like, "Yo, that's so cool." So somebody at CBS loves the Biscuit, so hopefully I'll be back out there.
We all
do.
We'll I would be so surprised if you did not go back on Elaine. Like,
yeah, I just hope I don't go back. If I get to go back, that I don't go and get first boot. Like that would be so terrible.
Elaine,
but it could happen, whatever.
I have a question for you. What if they asked you to come back on with your wife and do like another Blood versus Water? Would you do that sort of thing?
Dude, I would do it in a New York Minute, but she wouldn't.
She wouldn't.
No. Listen, my woman is TV gold. I just want you to know, like she is TV gold. However, she can't swim, so she's like, I'm not getting in that water. Are you crazy? So
this would be so good to watch.
Yeah, she can't swim, and she cannot hide her emotions. So if she's pissed or if she's upset, you're gonna get the full Monty. She's not gonna. She don't give a damn. You know what I mean? And I told her, I was like, "Yo, if you ever played, you would have to check that shit real quick." And she's like, "I don't care." You know what I mean? So no. I talked about it with her, and I was like, "Yo, would you ever do it?" And she's like, "No, I can't swim." What?
Oh my gosh! I want to just see her on TV. Can you guys do the Amazing Race together or something?
Well, I told her that too. I was like, "Yo, we could always do Amazing Race, but you know what the thing is one, I can't read a map." And the two of us together, when we do any kind of anything, like if we're building the porch, we fight like cats and dogs because we can't get along. So it's like, if we went on Amazing Race, there's two things that's probably going to happen. One, we're going to be lost in a third world country and you probably never see us again. And two, like we're going to be fighting like cats and dogs the entire time. So yes, it would be TV gold.
Yes, I want to see that right now.
Yeah, that would be fun. Well, off of your favorite player's game, who had the best different game? Who had to come in with a different game and they really switched it up?
Oh.
I thought Denise. I thought she was really interesting, and just hearing from her, I think of being more aggressive instead of playing as chill as she did. There's just like off the top of my head, I felt like she seemed to come on and play a little bit of a different game.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I can't. Other than Denise, I really can't think of anybody that played so drastically different.
I mean, I think
Tony did.
I think Tony
That's
really
true.
did.
Now the first part of the game, but the second part is old Tony again.
He reverted to old Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, I think Ben played a very different game. I don't know if it's my favorite different game, but he was the idol king, the hidden immunity idol king, and he was like consciously trying to not always be out in the forest looking for idols, and so I thought that was an interesting move. And then ultimately, we've already discussed he made a move that Joleen and I didn't love. That was also a departure from his previous game.
It was a different game.
I will say this about Ben. When he packed Tony through those woods, I thought that was the most amazing thing ever.
Yes.
Dude, I laughed so hard. Like, that was the funniest scene ever. Him running with Tony like this. It's hilarious. That was great.
Or when he found an idol and tried to hide it, like, oh shit. Yeah. And Tony's like, I'm right here, dude. I'm right here.
I'm not invisible, right?
Yeah.
I saw that, right?
I love the two of them. them together. When they were separate, I was like, oh my God, they're like the same. They're both like weird and crazy. And then when they got together, it was just like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Run through the forest together. What was your hardest vote out? Who was the hardest for you to lose?
I'm trying to remember.
Nick, my boy Nick. It was so hard to lose Nick. I was so mad. Coming into the last tribal that he was there, when he got rid of Kim, I was like, oh my God, you just messed up. You just messed up. You picked the wrong side to run with. Because I just couldn't see, kind of like what Michelle said to him, I just couldn't see how he was going to get to the end with Tony and Ben and Sarah and all those people. And that's why I was so sure that he would run with Kim and her crew and get Tony out, because I think he would have fared a lot better. And so when they finally got him, I was like, oh, man. So, that one hurt. That one hurt.
Yeah. See, mine is related. Mine, I think, was Kim. I was really rooting for Kim all season. I loved her on her original season. And she was there, right? Like, she saw that Tony was the threat when people weren't really talking about it. And she was really trying to make that move. And I thought, like, if anybody can do it, maybe it's Kim, because she was, she had such a dominant showing in her first season. And she kind of has this way of communicating with people that is very persuasive. But Tony got her, you know?
I think she literally just started to find her footing in the game.
Yeah.
And just started to, like, figure her path out. And just like that, she was gone. So, I agree with you. I was disappointed when she left, too.
I would say Yule. I still will probably never forget Michelle, Nick, and Wendell. Yule, so dirty.
And we know Joleen holds grudges. We know she holds grudges.
To do that to Zaddy Yule, a legend, a calm force in this chaotic world, was just too much for me.
And you might say it's a trash move.
It was a trash ass move. Not just trash ass move.
Trash ass, yes.
Trash. But no, I mourn Yule's vote out all the time. And I was just, for a little bit, I was like, I couldn't get on Team Michelle because of that. Because I was like, why would you keep Wendell? He's being rude to you. The whole dating thing, I get it's editing, but still, like, Yule, I wanted to watch Yule in his floral underpants and six-pack longer. It's just not fair that I should get deprived of that.
I feel you.
No.
Well,
it's not fair.
I was pulling for Yule because, he was going to donate part of his winnings to ALS on behalf of Jonathan Pinner's wife, Stacey. And it's like, so awesome. That dude right there is an amazing human being. So I'm with you. I was sad when he left too.
Yeah.
I have to say, Ethan, when Ethan left, I was like on my deathbed. I was like, no. Because I also felt like they took him for no good reason. It was just like, we're not going to vote Rob out yet, so we'll just take somebody. It wasn't like Ethan's a threat to win, because he was. So you could have given me a really good story, but you just took him away from me for no reason. I was upset about that.
And then he went to the edge and had a rough time. And I'm like, see, you should have never put him out there. Like, what are you doing?
Right?
Yeah,
rude.
I felt it.
So rude. So. Do you have any favorite alliances or favorite pairs? Who did you love working together?
Natalie and Michelle. I wish I would have had it longer. I was just living for the two of them. It was just exactly what both of them needed at that time when it looked as though like there was no hope. Natalie was the perfect person to come back in with Michelle, and they were just making moves, and I'm like, this is amazing. I did it, and it meant a lot for me because, again, like I said, I wasn't like a huge cheering for Michelle after the Zaddy Yule. Did I mention I was upset about that? And so but that made me believe in Michelle again, and so I like those two.
I don't really know who I would pick as a dynamic duo, other than Tony and Sarah. I thought they worked well together.
I think I might choose Sarah and Sophie. I really liked their
Sarah and Sophie,
especially when they ended up on that tribe where they were not in the majority of the numbers, and
that was great.
They found themselves right at the exact perfect time. They gave each other exactly what they needed to get through that hard time of being outnumbered. They worked through that very well. So yes, I concur. I agree with that. That's a good pair.
I think obviously Tony and Sarah were a good pair, but I think before, and then obviously Sarah, Lucina and Sophie were really good together.
Call it like it is, Lucina. Remember?
We're literally not calling anybody else by their last name, but since she asked, we'll do it. But before that, Sophie and Yule, like at first I was God, this duo is so good. They're just gonna like take this whole game. And honestly, when Yule went out, like my heart broke just for Sophie. I was like, this is gonna hurt her game. That was a good early duo.
It was super good early duo. They just complemented each other so well, and they're both so on the radar. Like I loved it.
Well, I think they're both really calm. Like they're not so frantic. And I've said it before about Yule, like being able to be calm in those situations like that is like, I wish I could have been like that. You know what I mean? So to have those kind of skills is like that's pretty cool to watch, you know?
Yeah.
Jeremy and Michelle. Yeah, that was a good
one too.
They were good. They were so loyal to each other. It was
the whole game too. Like
until the end when he didn't vote for her, like that was man, he didn't vote for Michelle. Like wow, but
Natalie is like family to him. Like he has to vote for Natalie.
That's true. You're right. Okay, I'll back down off that one.
Okay. But otherwise, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Last one I have for you. Who did the best fangirling?
Ben. See, I can be positive.
Ben with Rob was pretty darn classic.
Well, hold on.
He just was like so. It was like what I would do if I met like Rob or Poverty or Yule. I was just like, that was Ben. So I could live through him in those moments. Like, I get it, dude. You're meeting legends. I understand.
What about? But I also loved Nick and Parvati. Wasn't it Nick?
I was getting ready to say that. He's like, "Hey, Pav, you was my high school crush." It was like, "Oh my god, dude, this is so cringeworthy. Stop!" Like, right?
I know.
Only to then vote her out. It's like that's not how you get the girl.
It's not.
No,
it's not. It's those kind of moments, though, Elaine. I imagine you assume that you're just like chatting and it's not going to be on the show, you know?
I can't believe they aired that because I've met Nick's fiance and she's amazing. Griselda's amazing and she's feisty. You know what I mean? So Poverty might catch some of these claws. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, yo, that's kind of awkward a little bit. You know what I mean? If you're sitting and watching with your woman at home and something like that went down. I know from personal experience, if that had been me, I would have caught a backhand across the face from my old lady if I ever said that to somebody else. So, I was like, yo, Nick, what are you doing?
But Elaine, since Nick is your friend, what do you think about people thinking he looks like Dracula or a vampire?
Well, I don't know. Do you watch a lot of vampire shows? Because he kind of does. You know what I mean? It's like
he's got like the little hairline.
And the light eyes.
But Nick's a good-looking kid, so it's like, yo, if you're a hot vampire, you could be worse things. You know what I mean? So
my first crushes were all vampires on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so it's fine.
Well, my girlfriend's in love with Damon from Vampire Diaries. She thinks he's smoking hot. It's like, yo, I love Damon. It's like, get out of here. What's wrong with you?
Did you guys watch any of the Ponderosa videos? Oops, that's not the one I meant to highlight. But yes, thank you. The Ponderosa boys, Tyson, Wendell, and Jeremy, they were roommates in Ponderosa and just acting all fun.
Acting a fool. Yeah, it was actually, it's pretty cute. Funny. I think the relationship between, everybody makes fun of me for saying his name, but Jeremy and Wendell, I think their relationship is freaking great. It's amazing. You guys ever see them together? Like the Ponderosa stuff? It's like, yo, little bro and this, that, and I think it's awesome that they're super tight like that. And then, I seen the one with them and Tyson. It was super funny. Those guys,
it was also
really great players though. So it was cool to see them like that.
And Tyson and Rob were getting a couples massage, and Rob said he's had more couples massages with Tyson than his own wife. And then they cut to Amber being like, I have to limit the time that they spend together.
Dude,
so good.
They give you, like, if you want, you can schedule massages at Ponderosa, so you can get them if you want them. And I never went and got one. I stayed hammered. I just stayed at the bar.
Elaine, you and me.
I was too. If I'd have laid down, I'd have been spinning and it would have been over. So I was like, yo, I'm not getting a massage. But I could totally see Rob and Tyson like eating it up, getting the massages. That was hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, so where does this land? Top 5, top 10 season for you?
This was a pretty great season. I mean,
yeah.
I still think that my all-time favorite is Heroes and Villains.
That's mine.
That's my all-time favorite, but I think it's up there, top 5.
Top 5. Okay, I was gonna say like definitely. I'm getting like so precise here, but like definitely top 15, maybe top 10.
Wow, I say top 5 as well. Top 5.
Wow.
I say top 5, but again, I haven't watched like every single season of Survivor, but from the seasons I've seen, definitely top 5. So, but Heroes versus Villains is like, I can just rewatch that. It's so fun.
We need a Heroes versus Villains too. Put me in.
Yeah.
I want more Survivor seasons like that where the competitions are so physical. Remember how physical Heroes versus they were brutal, and I loved it.
Joleen, okay, so I'm watching Heroes versus Villains for the first time
Sarah,
right now.
She's a wildcat. I
knew Elaine was going to pick up. You talk about Claude, I'll snap.
Yeah, she's a wildcat, boy.
Yeah, no, we're watching Heroes versus Villains with our patrons right now, and it's David's first time watching.
It's insane. The physicality of the challenge. I keep telling Sarah, like, I am not built for this version of Survivor. Like, put me on a balance beam for an hour, maybe. But like trying to shove people off of a platform with one of those pads into the mud, like, no thanks. I'm gonna pass on that.
It's like the only way I would play.
Yeah. Joleen's got elbow pads on, a helmet, knee pads. She's ready for war.
I got Midwestern rage. Yeah.
It's roller derby gear. She's got a roller. Oh, you would be great at roller derby. You should totally
sturdy. I'm sturdy, Elaine. I'm sturdy.
Yeah. Well, we got that broad back.
Yeah. Strong neck.
I'm not sure what's happening anymore.
Oh my God.
Dude, me and Joleen are like basically best friends.
I know. This is exactly how our last live stream went with you. Yeah. At the end of it, you just completely took over.
Yeah. I'm not sure what show the Elaine and Joleen show is, but it needs to happen, whatever it is.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
Right?
I would love it. We're doing it.
Balls.
Seth, thank you for the super chat. Final question. Is it poverty or poverty? We got it. What do you mean you got to know? It's poverty.
Poverty.
But I will say, Sarah, you kind of say parverty.
Am I overly pronouncing it? Is that what you're saying?
I say
poverty.
I say it the redneck way. I say poverty because we all in poverty.
I like the way you say it, Elaine. I like that.
Everybody dogs me for saying it, and that's like Jeremy, like because I say like Jeremy. And they're like, it's Jeremy. I'm like, no, it's Jeremy.
I used to pronounce it like that too, and then I say Jeremy so that it's more pronounced, and then people tease me for that. And I do say poverty rather than parvati, right? What?
Parvati.
I mean, technically, it's like parvati because it's Indian. But none of us honkies over here know how to say it.
I thought we was fixing our She's breaking it out.
Sarah.
I was like, what just happened?
Pastor Atwood in the house.
Right here. Thank you. Right here. I'm getting back up from the chat.
Okay.
Sarah, do this and move.
Yeah. She's like,
okay. No, we don't know what we're doing over here. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. I personally loved this season. So sad that it's over. David and I don't know what we're doing with our lives anymore, but we'll figure it out.
Fingers crossed for Big Brother.
Yes, fingers crossed for a delayed Big Brother.
Please.
We are watching Heroes versus Villains over on Patreon. If anyone wants to join us over there, that's going to keep us going. But thank you, Joleen and Elaine, for joining us.
No problem.
Congratulations.
Me and Jolene's going to road trip.
I love it.
We're going to get a show with the Travel Channel. Elaine and Joleen on the road again.
There you go.
I'm totally down, and we can do the damn thing as far as I'm concerned. I ain't got no
CBS, whoever, make it happen.
We can just wrestle our way, wrestling through America. That will be our show. Like, we'll wrestle.
That's the name of it. Say wrestling through America.
Wrestling
we just
through
stop
America.
at all these one light shops, the places, and we get out and wrestle bears and shit. I'm down.
Yes. Okay.
I'm totally down.
Good.
Don't wrestle bears.
No.
I want to see you guys like drive up to a place because we're in quarantine and then just be like, hey, no one's here. And then you get back in your RV and you're just like, oh, moving on to the next place.
This used to be fun when you could go inside and then we wrestle.
Look at that place that we can't go into. No.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you.
What is she doing?
No,
dude.
She was just in the middle of saying goodbye.
She's like,
we're still live. Or she's
we're
live.
still live.
No, we're live.
We're live. I don't even know how.
Okay, I'm gonna actually end it now. I'm gonna actually end the show now. Okay, sorry about that. Goodbye.